So next up, podcast listeners, California should defund the government as well. So why we say that? Well, because in California, as well as in the state of Maryland, according to the Bureau of the Census, California has taxpayers are just fleeing like crazy. So this is the epic times. Taxpayers fleeing California take $8.8 billion in gross income to other states. $8.8 billion. California, with its relatively large tax burden compared to other states, has seen a taxpayer exodus in recent years, and along with it, billions in taxable gross income. State-to-state migration data, recently released by the Internal Revenue Service, shows that California lost an estimated net 70,534 households, or 165,000 taxpayers and their dependents from 2017 to 18. That's just 1 year. Wow. With those fleeing taking around $8.8 billion in net adjusted gross income. And then another article, blue states. Taxpayers fleeing blue states take $26.8 billion in gross income to red states. And guess what the top states are, guys?
Florida.
Guess. No, this
are leaving California, New York, New Jersey, everything in the Northeast.
So Democrat-controlled California, 167,000 lost. New York, 153,000. Illinois, 82,000. Followed by New Jersey, 26,000. And guess Massachusetts, 26,000. And guess who's next? The state of Maryland, 15,000, almost 16,000 people leaving the state, taking with them all of their income. And these are net loss of filers of federal taxes. So it's actually real. It's not like we're just saying, oh, well, we're just making this stuff up. These are people that file their taxes with the IRS, and there is a loss in 2017 to 2018, and also with the census. It's incredible.
I think it's horrible.
I mean,
it's breaking up families, because most of these people are a little bit older that are leaving. They're empty nesters, and they're like, what does Maryland, what does New York have for me? And they're New Yorkers and they're Marylanders, and they're proud of their home state, and they move to areas that are frankly ran better.
But here's the thing, guys. We have a pretty substantial California audience, Mark and the Millennials. And that's in part because we did a podcast segment on the California exit tax, which has 750,000 views on YouTube. And we're very proud of that. But the thing is why don't the California citizens defund their government as well? I mean, what do you think? Let's talk to California, because this is going to be a separate segment that's going to go out there as well.
Look, it's as simple as this. And it really is this simple. Money is always going to follow the path of least resistance. And the sad thing about California to me is it is a beautiful state. There is so much beauty there, but people are being forced to leave because they can't pay the bill anymore. So at some point, once again, the producers have the right to say, what am I getting for my dollar? And they're not getting the result they're looking for. So they're going to continue to go. And maybe this is the perfect time for them to stand up and say, if you're not producing what I want, I am going to take my money and put it in an escrow account, or demand that you give me the result that you promised.
Absolutely. Thoughts on this?
Well, I think they just need to band together. I mean, it's a great idea in theory.
This is a movement. I think this could be a movement.
Yeah. And I mean,
it's also, by the way, Matt, this is a dangerous movement too. Let me tell you why I think it's a dangerous movement. It's a dangerous movement because if enough people started doing this, the country could collapse, right? If people said, imagine if 100 million people decided they weren't going to pay their taxes and they were going to escrow them. What is the government going to do? Send in the military? That's not going to work, right? I mean, are they going to take your bank accounts and block them?
Well,
that's not going to really work either, because then you have revolution.
Right. Well, we're all for, more people keeping the money they earned. Right now, the biggest problem is the government is promising security, they're promising education, they're promising transportation, and they're just not delivering on those promises. And California is probably the poster child for that. Now they're having a recall election with Governor Newsom.
Yeah, let's defund California until they open up the schools.
Absolutely. I mean, that's the right thing to do. I mean, and change only happens through conflict. So, if you're going to pay, you should get something in return for
What do you think about this?
Well, like California you said, Mark, well, I'm going to bring it back to Baltimore City. 84% of the schools are failing. Would you invest in something if you thought you had an 84% chance of failing?
No, never. Not in a million years.
And we dedicate in the state of Maryland $15,000 to $16,000 per student. I think it's $15,800. And I think that money should follow the students so they can go pick the successful schools that they wish to go to. If you want to prosper in life and you want to be successful, you do need a solid education. And if you only have a 16% chance of getting even a decent education in Baltimore City, how is that fair? How is that a good use of taxpayer dollars? And they should have the ability to say, this is my money. This is what I earned. I wish to spend it where I want, especially on my children and their education. But we can't promise that in many parts of Maryland.
Here's an idea with all these woke corporations out there, like, Coca-Cola. And that is why don't they withhold their sales tax payments to the state or to the states instead of giving money to BLM, where the BLM leadership buys their own mansions? Why don't they just withhold the money and say, we're going to withhold the sales tax money until you implement school choice? I mean, that would actually be something that would be useful. I mean, that'd be a useful defund the government idea, right?
Well, unfortunately, the majority party that's in control of places like California and Maryland, for that matter, they don't agree with school choice. And matter of fact, you're just bringing it up. God, that sounds almost racist.
They won't let it happen, though, until you defund the government. I mean, that's the
sexist,
whole point, right?
Well, everything falls into three categories for them. It's either racist, sexist, or climate change.
And I think
there's no solution there.
That's my explanation for Dr. Rachel Levine. It's got to be climate change,
But no solution they ever propose doesn't include more power for themselves.
Their honest answer to that question was, well, if one fails, they must all fail. That's what they stood on last year.
Well, it's not our party.
If we give them an opportunity for freedom to choose, that's busing because we're asking them to leave a bad school.
Well, right now, I think as conservatives, as Republicans, especially in states like Maryland, where you're outnumbered, I think it's important to hold them accountable for their decisions that they're in control of. And right now, it's not our party that are keeping predominantly African-American children in perpetually failing schools. And that's a real problem. It's holding generations back, and I don't think it's right.
Generational poverty, and we've seen it play out year after year.